Welcome to the place. This is the place where you, the individual atheist, can converse with a Christian, and we can conversate and even celebrate the things that we do agree on. We know that we disagree on things. We don't even need to talk about that. That's not interesting. That's not challenging. That's not engaging. Instead, what is abnormal and in a good way, in a fresh way, is that we can have a conversation. It's not a debate. We're not focused on what we don't agree. We're focused on what we can say, you know what? I can agree with you on that. This video, I really want to reach out to people who surely have to be going through this situation. What I'm imagining, and so for me, my whole life, Christianity, I know nothing else other than that. My childhood, my relationship with my parents, my relationship with my family, everything still to this day, as I'm pushing 40, that's that much of my identity. And it's that much representative of my relationship with my family, specifically my parents, who I have a very good relationship with. But what I'm imagining, because I know in the United States, a lot of atheists didn't grow up that way. They grew up in a situation where their parents took them to church. A lot of them were in youth group, all that stuff. Went to the DC Talk concert, right? And as an adult, then left the Christian faith and eventually became an atheist, identify as an atheist. So I'm just imagining what it would be like, though, if you had a good relationship with your family, a good relationship with your parents, and then suddenly they find out you no longer believe. Because for them, they're thinking, from their perspective, they're thinking, this child I have has walked away from the faith. They just threw away their ticket for eternal life. Of course, what I don't want this to turn into is a discussion of, but if you believe, aren't you always saved? No, that's, either way, it's putting strain on that relationship as far as, now my child is going to go to hell for eternity as compared to me being able to spend eternity with my child or my brother or my sister or whoever it is in the family. I'm thinking about it from their perspective. I'm thinking about it from your perspective as the atheist and thinking, however all that sorts out, that's got to strain the relationship if you have a good relationship with your parents or your family to begin with. So I'm making this video to reach out to you to say, how's that going? Like, what's that struggle life like? I mean, Christmas vacation, okay? Well, you go down there and spend a couple of days with your family and have Christmas dinner, and you still swap presents and all, but it has nothing to do with Jesus now because you don't believe Jesus is the Son of God and died for us. You don't believe any of that. But you at least kind of go along with, well, I'm off work because we get off work for Christmas, and I'm coming to visit because we're all off, and this is what we do. But Christianity is no longer part of it. So that has to put a lot of strain on that relationship with your parents and or family. And I don't think that's something that has really been discussed much in any of these videos, so I wanted to make this video to dedicate to that. Let's talk about why this even is a thing that I'm thinking about. I'll tell you why. Because a couple weeks ago at my church, I started going to a men's Bible study, and this is the material, Stepping Up, A Call to Outrageous Manhood. There we go. Which is interesting because, as you know, I do about 4 videos a day, most days. 3 of them are typically about hair loss. And the whole thing about hair loss, I'm not trying to keep guys from going bald. I'm trying to help them psychologically overcome something as superficial as hair so that they actually become confident people with or without hair. And so, I look at it as a mentorship program, but they see it as hair loss videos. So with that being said, here's this book. And there's a video series that goes with it. Every time we all meet, there's like a 30-minute video. And one of the people they feature in this is Joshua Harris, which if you grew up in a Christian environment, you know immediately what I'm about to say. the guy that wrote the book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye. And he went on to write many other books. I went upstairs to look for it, but we don't have him. It's called Boy Meets Girl. It was a book about marriage after he got married. We owned that. My wife and I, when we got married 11 years ago, that was one of the books we bought. I don't think we have it anymore. But then he went on to become a pastor of a very popular church. Well, recently, I mean, within the last month, he and his wife got divorced. Neither of them are Christian anymore. And for what it's worth, he was most recently on his Instagram going around the gay parade and taking pictures with pastries and other people there, rainbow, all this stuff. No, I don't know if he's hinting that he's now living a gay life, or I don't know. And I honestly don't care. This isn't about Joshua Harris. It's about what it must be like in that situation for him, and I'm comparing that to thinking, what must that be for the people? Because for Joshua Harris, they referenced him in the videos for this. They referenced his father, how his father had all these Christian sons and they did all these great things for Christianity. Well, see, that material's from what, 2011? So it's ironic for me to watch these videos. Joshua Harris, they film all these segments of him at his church and him talking about masculinity, manhood, and Christianity and all these things. Of all times for us to start that Bible study, well, now the headlines is that he's not a Christian anymore. I mean, that, talk about from one extreme to another. Well, so what's that going to be like, for example, this year for his Christmas? Imagine how that's got to change the dynamic. I mean, granted, yes, he got divorced, and that's a life-altering situation in itself. And now his ex-wife is no longer a Christian. He's no longer a Christian. So, but yet the rest of his family is. So as I was thinking about all of that, I thought about my viewers who are atheists. And I thought so many of you have probably are in situations similar to that you have a strained relationship with members of your family now, who now see you as someone who has left so much a part of their identity with you. Now you're going to hell, but yet you're still with them, but yet you disagree with them. And what I'm saying is, if anything, I'm trying to say I feel a sense of compassion for you, because in your mind, that's where you're at. You no longer believe. It's almost as if you, I guess, can't believe anymore, even if you tried or wanted to, which you don't. But this is me imagining what it must be like. And the reason I make this video is so that you can tell me what parts of this can you actually agree and connect on. What am I actually getting right as I'm processing this, and really just trying to think about, be empathetic and try to think of what it's like for you in that situation. Because it's not like you can suddenly just believe again for the sake of making people happy, or that you'd lie to your family, and pretend that you're not an atheist when you are, something like that. And that's got to be really challenging for everybody. That's really got to put a strain on those dynamics for that family. I'm not in that situation. I have a very strong relationship and a very good relationship with my parents and my family, and I'm so grateful for that. It's a big part of my identity. But to imagine if I walked away from my faith, it'd be an understatement to say that changed the dynamics. So for me, I'm not in that situation at all. But for a lot of you, you're either in it or you have been in it. Because my understanding is most American atheists haven't been that way most of their lives. They grew up in a Christian environment and Christian culture. And that's why specifically I think that my videos that I make for atheists are especially relevant to American atheists in the United States specifically, because it's not like you were in Norway, where I guess a lot of the people are not Christian to begin with. From a cultural sense, the United States is still arguably a Christian nation. I mean, the fact that we get off, vacation days for Christmas implies that to some degree, doesn't it? I feel. So there you go. Think about what I've said in this 10-minute video. Have I got any of this right? Can we find something that you can agree on and say, Nick, actually, to be someone who's not in my situation, yes, you've actually got some things right, and let me tell you more about it. If you feel comfortable sharing and want to tell me more about it, I'd definitely be open to hearing about it, because this is all about an atheist connecting with a Christian and only focusing on what we can agree on. And even if it means for me being empathetic to try to imagine what it's like to be, which is clearly what I've struggled to do in this video, but still I can imagine that's got to be tough. Feel free to tell me about it right here.